The city council in Charlottesville, Virginia, is voting tonight on whether to remove its statue of Stonewall Jackson. This comes 1 month after Antifa and the alt-right rioted over the fate of the Robert E. Lee statue. Both monuments are currently covered with burqas to protect the very sensitive people of Charlottesville from fainting at the sight of them. Similar statue battles are being fought in dozens of cities across the country. Dennis Prager is a radio show host. He says the battle over statues is a massive distraction from real life. Dennis, thanks a lot for coming on tonight. So what
Always
is this
good
about
to be
exactly?
with you, Tucker.
Thank you.
Well,
Why
the thesis of my the thesis of my column is very important that I set this out at the outset. Is those who do not fight real evil fight statues. This is part of a rule of life that I established many years ago. I think it's a defining characteristic of the left, not of liberals necessarily, but of the left. And that is they don't fight the biggest evils, they fight made-up evils instead. They didn't fight communism, they fought anti-communism. They don't fight Islamism, they fight Islamophobia. This is another example of that. Real evil, the left is AWOL. Statues, they don't fight back, and they're immobile. You're not going to get hurt smashing a statue, so this is their big battle.
Why not just fight real evil? Wouldn't that be more productive?
Yes, it would be, but then, look, this is a very tough question. Why don't people fight real evil is one of the great philosophical questions of life. Why do they fight littler evils? I think in part, I hate to say it, because there are some nice people all over the political spectrum, but I think ultimately it's tough to fight real evil. Look, the left fights, for example, religious fundamentalism in America, right? Those nasty Christians. But when it comes to the Ayatollah Khamenei, they're pretty AWOL again. The really bad religious crowd, they have nothing to say about. So who do they fight? Really tough people like Franklin Graham. These are the real threats to America. Wherever you look, that's what the left does. They don't fight the real threats.
The coming theocracy, remember that? And yet when,
that's right.
There's sex segregation according to Sharia, like that's totally cool. You don't let your wife drive a car or go outside except with male relatives. That's totally fine, different culture. But I wonder if refusing to fight evil is in complicity with it.
Oh, in the final analysis, if you hate Reagan more than you hate Brezhnev, then you have aided Brezhnev. I'm not saying that they were pro-communist. What they were was anti-communist. When Ronald Reagan said that the Soviet Union was an evil empire, the left went ballistic.
I remember
it was
vividly.
a truism.
So
it was a simple truism.
It seems rooted in us, and I hate to reduce it to this because I'm not trained as a shrink. I was a Russian history major, but a lot of this seems like working out of psychological impulses. And underlying a lot of this seems the deep need of many on the left to feel virtuous. Like, I'm a good person. I have proved I'm a good person and you're not.
There's a little proof to that. You know who started the self-esteem movement? Nobody talks about this, but I was there at the beginning. It was founded in my state, California, by a late state senator, John Vasconcellos. John Vasconcellos was a liberal Democrat, member of the state Senate in California. I had him on my show, and he said to me, this was not hidden, he was a wonderful man, actually. He said, I realized when I was in therapy that I lacked self-esteem as a kid, so I realized how important self-esteem is, and you were right, this was truly acting out some psychological phenomenon of his own life. And it turns out that the self-esteem movement has been utterly destructive. And I have proof for that, too. Everyone watching should ask the kindest, finest adults they know the following question. Did you have high self-esteem when you were a child? Every single good, kind person will say no.
Of course. It's totally obvious. I love that.
Yes,
Thank you, Dennis. It's great to see you.
So this feeling, this moral virtuosity, I fight Nazis. I'm a Jew. I've written one of the most widely read books explaining anti-Semitism. I helped smuggle Jews out of the Soviet Union as a kid. I have fought anti-Semitism my whole life. I do not fear the Nazis of America, okay? They are a non-issue in my life. But
they're losers. I totally agree. Dennis, it's great to see you. Thanks. CNN